Yesterday was the Unite for Europe march in London. It was a beautiful sunny day. Estimates for people turning up beforehand had been 25,000 to 100,000 because who knew after the terrorist attack. But at the end of the day, it was about 100,000 that turned out, and it was lots of positivity and all about European identity, celebrating 60 years of the EU, and not just against Brexit but also against how this government is doing Brexit. So all of those dynamics together, and it was a very important statement. However, BBC gave it almost zero exposure, and as did some other press, almost zero exposure, and there was a preference to talk about Douglas Carswell and him leaving UKIP. So why is it that the press favour the Douglas Carswell story over the massive march in London, and what do we do about it? Well, firstly, as I've said before, the media, and particularly the BBC, tends to be something of a soap opera around politicians' lives, a little bit of a reality TV show about their characters. So there's a little show going on there, which means that anything about the personalities and of the politicians and those politics gets priority over large swathes of UK society. And that is something that's a little bit errant, and we must try and push to address, because it was certainly a very toxic dynamic in the referendum debate that shut down a lot of the broader conversation that should be had. Secondly, there was a letter 5 days ago from some Tory MPs, predominantly pro-Brexit Tory MPs, complaining that the BBC has a left-wing liberal bias, all of that stuff. And so that might have done something to intimidate the BBC on covering matters that are pro-EU. Certainly, if you look at the coverage that the Women's March got, it was much more extensive than the march that yesterday got. So do a Google search on BBC Women's March, and you'll see all the articles on that, and then compare it with what we got from yesterday. So what can you do about that? Well, first of all, you can write to the BBC and point out all of these dynamics. I think that's important to do, because I do think that during the referendum debate, and still now, there has been a lot of bullying of the BBC. And so don't bully back, but if this is a concern, just write to them, let them know you're concerned that they're being bullied and they're representing aggressive politicians, rather than big efforts on the part of UK community to mobilise and get involved in politics. And then the other thing that we can do and should be doing is to keep doing what we're doing, which is to organise marches. I mean, in the march you saw Surrey for Europe, Greenwich for Europe, Liverpool, Leeds, all the different regional groups that came to the march. And there was another march in Edinburgh, of course, and of course there was a march off in Rome. So building up the sense of community is very important, because it's very easy to get sucked into the narratives of other people and their world and get all cynical and critical about that. But if we believe in community from local to European level, if we believe in coming together and the bonds of humanity across our continent and keeping all of that strong and valuing each other, then this is what we need to focus on, and this is what we need to build up. So keep going. We've got 2 more years of this, so there's a lot of good stuff that we can build. And as an afterthought, happy Mother's Day. So to all of you mothers, keep mothering. We need you.